What would you say you do here?
Well, look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
A lot of times it almost feels like what a big portion of the channel is almost like comic book myth busting. A lot of the times we get these rumors out there, and I don't know, everyone kind of picks up on them. They go to the worst possible scenario, best possible scenario, and they run all these things in their minds as if these things are going in motion. Recently, obviously, there was the big rumor that there's a group of super fans with access to tens of millions of dollars that were going to buy the publishing division parts of DC Comics outright and start, publishing DC Comics the way they wanted to. We said not so fast. I didn't want to cover on the channel because it was so ridiculous, but there was enough feedback and interest from the viewers that I ended up covering it. Sounds like we were pretty much spot on. Now, if you were to say, Wes, the conversations took place, you are correct. I do know that. I talked to one of the creators that was tentatively involved. To say that involved indicates that it was much greater than what it was. It was people talking a little bit. There's never any type of formal proposal, agreement, even between the investors to even do this. So were there talks? They're very, very preliminary stages. Nobody was all that interested. Now, one of the other rumors that we had to myth bust not all that long ago was that in June, DC Comics was going to stop publishing physical comics for good. They were going to be out of publishing periodics. Another point where I had access to people with direct knowledge of the situation and said that it was essentially absurd. There was no way that they were going to be doing that. And I think DC Comics came out at ComicsPro this week, which is it's a group of retailers that pool their strength together. Their dues, their fees involved, and they're like the advocates of retailers, where they go and advocate on each other's behalf. I don't think they're all that effective doing that, although they have definitely had some successes in the past. But they also have a wealth of resources available. If you were opening a comic shop, you would want to be a part of ComicsPro and have access to the resources and the knowledge so you could get your comic shop up and running, latest trends, how to run your business, and stuff like that. They provide all of those kinds of services for dues-paying members. So they're doing their conference this year, and that's what we're here to talk about. A little bit of myth busting. Finally, DC has kind of confirmed that June rumor is false. They will be publishing comic books into the foreseeable future. Now, it probably shouldn't have taken this long for DC to address these rumors. They probably should have got ahead of the rumor and dispelled it outright immediately. But apparently, they didn't think it was worth their time. Now, before I get into the details of how we know that in June we are going to be getting comic books published and into your comic shops, and how confirmation that, once again, we were correct, that the mass hysteria that DC Comics were shutting down in June was bunk from the beginning. It was never really a possibility. I do want to say this. If you enjoy comic book news, myth-busting, reviews, this is likely the comic book channel for you. Thinking Critical YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this, thumbs down if you don't. If you still believe DC Comics is not going to be publishing comics in June after the information I give you, I definitely want to hear from you. You got to tell me how you still believe it. It's unbelievable at this point. It was unbelievable when the rumor came out. It was quickly dispelled. Now, I couldn't go on the record with the people that I was told this from, because they didn't want to go on the record. So I just had to say, hey, I got sources. But it was definitely, these were very reliable sources. And now we have the information from the top of the heap. So DC went and they did their ComicsPro presentation, and at that they announced a couple of things. Now, they announced 11 new titles that will be published throughout 2021. 11 new titles that they plan to start releasing during the year. So for the next 10 months, I imagine if it was going to be coming out in May, we already heard about it because it would have been in no solicitation. So from March, until the end of the year, probably. So we in the next 8 months after May, we're going to have 11 new titles. Some of these will probably be one-shots. I don't imagine they're all going to be ongoing. Some of them might even be DC Digital first. They'll definitely be coming out June or later. And these are the comic books that are announced. Deathstroke Incorporated, Harley Quinn animated series sequel, a Wonder Woman 80th anniversary title. I imagine that's a miniseries. Elseworld. This one sounds pretty cool. Of all the stuff that's in here, this is the one I'm most excited about. It sounds like it's kind of like the Tales from the Dark Multiverse. It's going to be associated with the Elseworld, which is one half of the center of the DC Omniverse now. You got Elseworld and you got Omega, Earth Omega, I believe it's what it's called. And hopefully these are like dark tales from the multiverse, where it's evil tales of classic stories where things went wrong. It's kind of like DC's really evil What If series, and I really enjoy that. I hope that's what this Elseworld series is. There's also a DC Vampires. Apparently that's a working title. Is this going to be in the Deceased universe? I imagine it's not, but they're going to do a DC Vampire series. Robin and Batman. Apparently Robin is up front and first. And I really would like a Robin and Nightwing series. That's the one I would really like. Like a Damian Wayne, Dick Grayson, Robin and Batman. And even if you wanted to make it even better, Robin and Nightwing and Arsenal, since he's back from the dead, put those three together in a team book. That would be amazing. But, Robin and Batman, apparently that one's coming up. Joker, a puzzle box. That is obviously not an ongoing. That is going to be like a miniseries or something, probably from DC Black Label. The Legend of Batman. Sounds like an anthology or some type of a series of one-shots. Crush and Lobo. I might be interested in that one because I really like Crush as a character when they were introduced in the new Teen Titans series that Adam Glass with the new team that they had. Newbie and the Amazons, and then DC Middle Ages. I don't know if DC Middle Ages is illustrated by Liam Sharp. I'll definitely be a customer. But it sounds like Liam Sharp is kind of exiting DC and doing his own thing, at least in the immediate future. So there you go. 11 titles that will be published in June or later. Now, you could come back at me and say, you know what, Wes? Those are all digital titles. They're not even going to publish them anyway. That proves nothing. I would say, you, sir, are a moron. But you might have a point. They went a step further, and they said they are going to be participating in this year's Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day is August 14th. It is not a digital or virtual Free Comic Book Day. There's a comic book or two. They go into your local shop. People come in, they get free comic books. The comic shop pays for them. There will be DC Comics in your comic shop on August 14th that are free. That is clearly after June. Now, in the panel, they did say May 1st. Somebody said, hey, that was in the past. And DC clarified, we meant August 14th, Free Comic Book Day 2021. Obviously, that's normally associated more like with Diamond. This will be the first year they're doing it really with Lunar at the same time as Diamond. They're participating this year after June. And you say, you know what, Wes? You're a fool. That doesn't mean anything. Maybe they're just publishing free comics, but they're not. They're not going to even sell them. Those don't count. Now, this is what Chief Creative Officer Jim Lee, Senior Vice President and General Manager Daniel Cherry, new to the job, and Editor-in-Chief Marie Javins, who replaced Bob Harris, also new to the job, but has been with the company for a while. This is what they had to say, with Lee is the basically the focal point. Reaffirming DC's commitment to publishing comic books and the direct market. Publishing comic books, the direct market, and the direct market. He used the words. He said, we are reaffirming DC's commitment to publishing comic books in the direct market. Now, why does it need to come out now? Why couldn't they do this 4 months ago? It wouldn't have been hard. They could have put out a press release. They could have done an interview. It's not like what had happened just right at that time. What was the DC thing that they did? The virtual Comic-Con. DC something. That virtual Comic-Con that they did. Jim Lee was on a virtual panel. He could have said this 4 or 5 months ago and got out in front of it and just quashed the rumor right then. It shouldn't be Perch and myself's job to go out there and get in front of these stupid rumors and clean them up for him. Jim Lee is a grown man. Daniel Cherry, obviously he's new to the job. He wasn't in place at that time. But I believe Marie Javins was new to the EIC position at that point. They're grown people. They're getting paid to do this. A lot more money than I'm getting for my YouTube channel. They should be the ones getting out in front of this crap instead of letting it fester and grow. I know what they think. This is what they think. If we address the rumor, we're giving credence to the source. Sure, don't address every rumor. But when certain things get out of control and everybody's reporting on it and everyone's acting like it's true, you might want to get out there and quash it, because you know what you're not doing when you ignore it and you refuse to address it, you're giving it credence, because people are like, well, I wonder why they're not saying anything. If that wasn't true, they would at least probably come out and say it wasn't true. It probably is true. How hard would it have been for Jim Lee, Marie Javins, and then maybe later Daniel Cherry when he came on board? Just go out there and be like, nah, it's not true. We actually have publishing plans all the way through the end of 2021. They're firmly in place. We're going to be publishing, printing comic books and sending them to your comic shop. Would have saved a lot of people a lot of heartache. I don't mind doing the myth busting stuff. I kind of enjoy it. I do enjoy doing a little bit of research, getting in there, going out and talking to a couple of sources, getting to the bottom of stuff. But it really, DC needs to pay me some money for getting out there and quashing some of this stuff. And obviously, my channel's not big enough to dispel something like that. The viewers who trust me have been coming to the channel and know that the information I provide is reliable. And if I give bad information, if I get bad information, I will correct the record. Know that this is a reliable place for information. People that go to purchase channel know that that is a reliable place for information, that the information is being vetted and presented to you and is accurate. But, my channel's like, was it 10,000? His channel's like 11 or 12. Pretty small potatoes in comparison to some of the people that are echoing these false rumors. In a lot of cases, probably know what they're saying is BS. But it's good for the clicks, right? And I don't mind the clicks either. But it really shouldn't be a problem at this point. How does DC Comics not know that you should get out in front of these things and clear the record so readers aren't flapping in the wind with no information and thinking that the entire company is about to do away with comic books? The rumors are never ending. I understand the sentiment. If we address the rumor, we're giving it credence. Sometimes the rumor becomes big enough and is persistent enough that you need to address the rumor and clear the record and get the correct information out there. Shouldn't have taken them this long, but there, clear, definitive proof that the June rumor was BS. It was from the beginning. I knew that, because I had my sources. I could not name them, unfortunately. A lot of the information I get is off the record. I try to present it to you the best way that I can. But I do have to protect sources and methods, or otherwise people will never talk to me again. And then I won't have the correct information. I'll just have to wing it. And I don't want to wing it. So there it is. We have 11 new comic book titles coming out from now until the end of the year. They have not. We don't know the publication dates. We haven't seen a cover for any of them. We don't know any of the creative teams. But Jim Lee stated that they were reaffirming DC's commitment to publishing comic books and the direct market. Please, if you still believe DC Comics, which has already published solicitations for May, will not be publishing printed comics in June, you've got to tell me in the comments section. How do you still believe it? I want to hear from you. I want to know what it would take for you to believe what the publisher is actually telling you. That's what I want to know.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.